When Rolls first met Royce, they decided to build the best car the world had ever seen. After many years, we now have the most premium automotive brand, with business magnates, celebrities and public figures becoming the owners of Rolls-Royce automobiles. It's no longer a luxury car, it's a status, a symbol of success that speaks for you, saying, "I've done it, I've won in life." A single automobile can take up to 6 months to be created. That's because nearly every task is completed by hand. In fact, the quality of a Rolls-Royce is so outstanding that around 65% of all Rolls-Royce cars produced are still in use today. However, the company has humble beginnings, and it took years of hard work for its founders to create such a masterpiece. So buckle up, we're going on a journey through Rolls-Royce's inspiring history. Frederick Henry Royce was born in England in a village called Alwalton. He was the youngest of the 5 children born to James and Mary Royce. His family ran a flour mill for a living, but because of his father's lack of business skills, the business failed and the family moved to London in search of a better life. But a tragedy would soon occur in the Royce family. Henry's father died when he was only 9. To help support his family, Henry left school and went to work selling newspapers and delivering telegrams. In 1878, with the financial assistance of his aunt, he began an internship with the Great Northern Railway Company in Peterborough. At the same time, Henry was doing his best to study math and electricity. Unfortunately, after 3 years, money ran out and he was forced to return to London and find work at the Electric Light and Power Company, where he became totally absorbed in his work, neglecting recreation and skipping meals. Soon after, thanks to his hard work and skills, Henry was appointed chief electrician. However, he dreamed of something bigger than an ordinary job. Royce had made friends with an equally ambitious engineer called Ernest Claremont during his stay in Liverpool, and together, using their savings of £20 from Royce and £50 from Claremont, they set up Royce & Partners Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, where they produced doorbells, dynamos and later even electrical cranes. In 1902, following a visit to South Africa, Royce bought a second-hand 2-cylinder Decaville. It had only one problem: the engine would not start. Luckily, Royce fixed the problem the very next day. After driving the vehicle for a while, he saw how many improvements could be made and decided that rather than modify the French car, he would create his own. But we know that he didn't do it alone. Charles Rolls is best known for partnering with Henry Royce to co-found the Rolls-Royce company, yet he had a much different life than his partner. Charles Rolls was born in 1877 in London into an aristocratic family. He finished school and went to Eton College in Berkshire, where he discovered his passion for engineering. In 1894, he took private lessons in Cambridge, which led to his admission to Trinity College, where he studied mechanical and applied science. After graduating from Cambridge University, he worked on a steam yacht and later on the railway. However, Charles was more interested in motoring, pioneering and salesmanship, and at 18 years old he became one of the first car owners in Wales. Remember, it was that time when the majority of people didn't even know what a car was. In 1903, with the financial support of his father, he opened one of the first auto dealerships in the UK, importing and selling Peugeot and Minerva cars. In addition to being a driving pioneer, Rolls was a passionate aviator as well. In 1903, he assisted in the foundation of the Royal Aero Club and became the club's second pilot. Soon after that, he won the Gordon Bennett Gold Medal for carrying out the longest single flight. Unfortunately, it was his desire to soar even higher that would later crush him to the ground. During this time, Rolls heard about a man whose British-built cars were said to embody qualities of refinement and silence, the exact qualities Rolls searched for in the cars sold through his London-based business. So he immediately grabbed his suitcase and drove to Manchester to meet the famous engineer. Neither of the two expected that this meeting would change the automotive industry forever. 26-year-old Charles Rolls first met 41-year-old Henry Royce on May 4, 1904 in Manchester. Despite having completely different backgrounds, they had a sympathetic approach to each other within minutes. Rolls was fascinated by Royce's twin-cylinder car. He knew he had found what he was looking for. Royce too was impressed by Rolls' business skills and knowledge of the marketing field. After taking the car for a drive together, they agreed on the spot to sell as many cars as Royce could build. Thus, Rolls-Royce was born. In 1906, Rolls-Royce launched their first car, named 4050, because that was the car's taxable horsepower. It was a smooth and wonderfully designed automobile. However, it is not known if the company would have become what it is today if not for a third person, who played a crucial role in its development. Claude Johnson was a business partner and later the commercial and managing director of Rolls-Royce. A brilliant marketer, he ordered one of the cars to be produced with silver-plated fittings and nicknamed it the Silver Ghost, to highlight its ghost-like quietness. It was advertised like this: Rolls-Royce, not one of the best, but the best car in the world. And the car really proved its statement in several endurance events, when it was driven 15,000 miles and never broke down. The reputation of the 4050 and Rolls-Royce was established, and wealthy people from all over the world lined up to pay $4,000 for the car, equivalent to $100,000 in today's money. And that was just for the rolling chassis without any bodywork. Then they had to take the car to a coach builder and pay another $100,000 for the doors, seats, and body panels. But if you were rich and had money to spend, you definitely wanted to spend it on something as special as a Rolls-Royce. Henry and Charles knew this and pushed the clients to buy the cars, stating that quality is remembered long after the price is forgotten. As the 1910s came to a close, Rolls-Royce's customers were getting too creative. They had developed a taste for designing their own mascots and mounting them atop of their cars, and this just would not do. Rolls-Royce had an image to uphold after all, so they designed their own mascot and named it the Whisper. However, Claude Johnson didn't like the design and ordered it to be modified into a version that is more similar to today's. The modified version was first called the Spirit of Speed and later the Spirit of Ecstasy. Claude Johnson described it like this: the Spirit of Ecstasy, who has selected road travel as her supreme delight, is expressing her keen enjoyment with her arms outstretched and her sight fixed upon the distance. With all of their success, the business was growing fast, but so was Rolls' passion for aviation. He even tried to convince Henry to design an aero engine, but Royce didn't like this idea and refused. Charles, however, was stubborn. He bought a Wright Flyer aircraft and from early October 1909 made more than 200 flights, becoming the first man to make a non-stop double crossing of the English Channel. For this performance, he was awarded the Gold Medal of the Royal Aero Club. Sadly, his passion didn't last long. On July 12, 1910, it was very gusty and bad weather for the Wright biplane he would fly for the show. A French rival who had already flown and crashed without injury went over to warn Rolls to delay, but he refused and took off. Within seconds, part of the tail broke off and the aircraft crashed, throwing Charles to one side of the wreckage. At first, he seemed to be uninjured, although he had been killed instantly. Friends and admirers formed a circle around the body, and a news photographer who tried to snap him was grabbed and his camera was smashed. Charles Rolls died at the age of 32, becoming the first Briton to die in a powered aircraft accident. His death resulted in the end of the Rolls-Royce partnership. Now Henry would have to continue their mission on his own. At the beginning of the 20th century, the Alps, with their unpaved mountain passes and challenging hills, served as the location for some of the world's most difficult racing events, and the most important one was Alpenfahrt. Under the strictest supervision, approximately 1,820 miles or 3,000 kilometers were driven in about 8 days. The engine was not allowed to be switched off from morning to evening, not even when tires were damaged or wheel rims were changed. The cars had to spend the night outside and be able to start within a minute in the morning. In 1913, the 4050 model dominated and finished the rally without any penalty marks. After once again proving its reliability during the First World War, the British High Command decided to use all of Britain's Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost chassis for the British Army and to build armored vehicles. They were literally built like tanks. But the company wouldn't stop here. In the 1920s and 1930s, the pursuit of speed had become a worldwide spectator sport. These dangerous events were held on sand, in the air, and on the water. So Rolls-Royce decided to leave its mark there and develop an engine specifically to power the fastest aircraft. They named it the R engine. This engine was first placed into the prop plane, which flew at 407.5 miles per hour, becoming the fastest machine on Earth. the airspeed record was set. A few years later, in 1935, the R engine was placed in a car named the Bluebird. It became the first car to go over 300 miles per hour. Now, the land speed record has also been set. With Rolls-Royce powering the fastest thing on land and in the air, the only thing left to do was to conquer the sea. So that's what they did. In 1938, in a hydroplaning powerboat named the Bluebird K3, after the Bluebird car because it was running the same R engine, the water speed record was set of 103.91 miles per hour. After setting records in the air, on land and in the water, Rolls-Royce had nothing more to prove. So, instead of focusing only on making engines and chassis, they decided to challenge themselves and build the most luxurious cars ever. They began hiring luxury coach builders, which further helped them to build the Rolls-Royce Wraith. This car was highly appreciated by all, but it was still being produced by different coach builders. So in 1949, the Rolls-Royce Silver Dawn became the first model to be produced with an original Rolls-Royce body. It was a car that combined within itself a high level of comfort, quality, and performance. The Silver Dawn was followed by the Silver Cloud. Rolls-Royce, which once was synonymous with power and performance, was now seen as the most luxurious car in the world. However, the 1980s market crash were the most dramatic years for the company. Sales were low and the fate of the company was unclear until the next 2 decades. But in 1998, BMW acquired Rolls-Royce for $570 million and it rose from the ashes. The company restructured and realized one of the most important things, and that was that their rich customers don't just want another luxury car, they want an exclusive one. They don't want to drive their $500,000 Rolls-Royce and then see a dozen of the same exact cars on the streets. No, it should be unique. And since then, the company changed their goal. No two Rolls-Royces are the same. The company took bespoke to a whole new level. Now you can choose from over 44,000 colors. And if you still don't find one of those which makes you happy, Rolls-Royce can make a new color to fulfill your desire. The leather used in the interior of the car is from only the best bulls from the Bavarian region. This is because cows get pregnant, so there are stretch marks in the leather. Bulls also live at a particular altitude in the Bavarian Alps, where it's hard for insects to survive, and bugs bite and leave scars, which mark the leather. And of course, you can choose the stars positions on the signature starlight roof, or the color of your $700 door umbrella. Today, Rolls-Royce is the symbol of success, and it is proved by the most rich and influential people on earth who are the main customers for the company. Henry Royce died on April 22, 1933, from a long-term illness resulting from poor nutrition in childhood and a lifetime of overwork. His words will be forever engraved in the history of the company. Strive for perfection in everything you do. Take the best that exists and make it better. When it does not exist, design it. What do you think about Rolls-Royce? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for staying until the end. If you enjoyed this video and want to support me on my way to the top, hit the like and subscribe. See you next time.